Our question of the day now, and no prizes for guessing what's dominating, and of course the State Capture Commission of Inquiry and the appearance of former President Jacob Zuma. So we're asking you, given the opportunity, what question would you ask former President Jacob Zuma as he continues giving testimony at the Commission of Inquiry into allegations of state capture?
I love this question because I do think that this is going to get a lot of fantastic responses from viewers, because, you know, it's that moment where we've heard so much, we've speculated so much, there's been so much said about our former president, and you know, this is the moment where those questions are going to be asked. And if you were given that opportunity, what is that top question you would ask him? Because there is a huge list of questions to ask, but you know, this is, let's see, you never know, it might be picked up, maybe some of these questions will be asked, we'll see what
Imagine
happens.
You advocate Pretorius.
Yes.
You know,
exactly.
where would you go with this?
Exactly, so that's the question of the day. We look forward to some of your responses as well. All right, the big stories of the day, the Zuma one, no doubt dominating headlines. Former President Jacob Zuma expected to continue giving testimony at the Commission of Inquiry into allegations of state capture.
And then, meanwhile, former Public Investment Corporation Chief Executive Dan Majila, he's also expected back on the stand at the PIC inquiry this morning.
The judicial inquest into the death of a 17-year-old Annika Smit will continue in the Pretoria North Magistrates Court. Smit was raped and murdered at her father's house in Pretoria. That happened 8 years ago.
So those some of the stories in the SABC's news diary. But let's take a look at some of the top trending topics. Again, no prizes for guessing.
I know, but
right.
first,
but
of
first
course,
up,
Mark Batchelor. Yeah.
Hashtag RIP Mark Batchelor.
Yeah.
Former footballing star gunned down outside his home in Olivedale last night. And preliminary, you know, suggestions is that this seems like a hit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the story broke the early evening last night, and you know, it was just talked to. I think 7 shots fired at him. I mean, they just yeah. There you go. There wasn't a great story to be seen.
It had all the hallmarks of, you know, a hit.
Indeed,
you had 2 guys on motorcycles coming up, you know, ambushing him as he was about to enter his home premises. So it is really a horrific story, and a lot being said at the moment, but we'll see how this unfolds. What is interesting though, and I saw this last night, as the preliminary reports were coming through, and I'm just trying to call it up, one of the things that was reported on one of the news networks was and this is how they characterized it, alleged underworld kingpin Nafiz Modak, who was an associate of the former soccer star, told News 24 that he was a family man and not one of war. And my comment to those who shot him is that they should be afraid, very afraid.
Oh, gosh, okay.
I know who was after him. This was Modak.
Okay.
So again, you know, it just gives credence to all the talk about his dealings to underworld shady characters.
Activities and things.
So yeah, it would seem as though this was a hit.
All right, so that is going to be a big one today as we hear perhaps a little bit more on that story. State Capture Inquiry, we know that our former president was there. A lot was said. In fact, the former president taking us on a journey 20 years back, more than 20 years back, and giving us an in-depth point of view of how he really has been a target for a very, very long time, and that he just wants to set the record straight and talk about how his family has been suffering through all of this, how it hasn't been easy for him. And it's just, you know, he came through and was speaking from a very personal opinion, and then of course the questions started coming. He started names dropping, and also, you know, not remembering a couple of things that people would think that he would remember. So it's still a lot. There's still a long way to go on this one.
Well, then you have hashtag Rupert also coming from what the former President Jacob Zuma was testifying and talking about what some have come out on Twitter to label as treasonous, because the former president spoke about how then Minister of Sport and Recreation Pigile Mbalula had gone on some or other jaunt to Rupert's place and came back and said that Johan Rupert had said that if Pravin Gordhan is removed as Minister of Finance, then they will essentially obliterate the rand.
Wow.
So, and he apparently then told Balula to go back and,
don't tell him where he...
take a return message to Rupert. And many people are, this one, calling the media out on this, saying, oh, so is the media going to pretend that that wasn't said? Are they going to pretend that they didn't hear that Rupert had threatened to basically obliterate our economy? So that is where the Rupert story comes in.
Very, very interesting. Okay, and then one final trending topic there, I think we've got, and the Guptas, of course, that was spoken to yesterday at the state capture inquiry, and the family that's alleged to have captured our former president Jacob Zuma, and him coming forward in one of his statements to say that it was in fact former President Thabo Mbeki who introduced him to the Guptas and Mandela, and the fact is that Thabo Mbeki came out very quickly with a statement saying absolutely not, I didn't do that.
Well, which is very interesting, because Mwakara Matlodi being called a spy, also very quick, to respond. Let's take a lie detector test. So it's going to be a very interesting week.
It is. It is going to be very interesting.
All those responses coming through at the speed of light as well.
So stay tuned.
But for me, the thing that stood out is like, oh, these comrades. I'm like, okay, but that's just me.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe. Well, I can tell you what, something that's not just us is everybody else noticing these red jackets that everywhere we're wearing. And people are saying, what month is it? Is it the love month? What is going on, guys? You bring in these things. But then a nice one, somebody saying, who's it? Just a nobody. Nah, just a nobody. I like your Twitter handle, but it can't be that way. It says, morning, Leanne, while you're fussing over your red jackets, my partner's admiring your shoes, which, by the way, also happen to have red in them. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Did you not get the email last night?
I did.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Good. Well, we can't wait to see it. There you go.
It's a red morning.
Good morning. How are we looking out there on the red morning?
Well, we're looking very beautiful. We're still expecting clear skies, cool to warm conditions for most parts of South Africa. And again, it is a beautiful red morning here in Morning Live, and you can expect lots of beautiful weather. But let's just take a look at this interesting video. We can see lightning striking up ahead, and some people are driving towards it. Well, the safest thing you can do is just to remain in your car. Now, let's go to South Africa weather, where we're still expecting some clouds along the coastal areas. To the interior, we'll see clear skies. We're really not seeing a lot happening with our satellite image, but we are expecting few clouds just along the coastal areas of Western Cape for today. Morning fog patches along the coastal areas, Western Cape to Eastern Cape, and over the interior, clear skies can be expected. Strong winds over the southern interior, up to 40 km per hour wind speed. And over the interior of Northern Cape, we also have a warning of high fire danger with that strong wind of 40 km per hour. Please do take note of that. And if you do see any fires, please do report to your authorities. Now, let's take a look at your temperatures, where we're expecting a maximum of 21 in DR Bloemfontein, 22 for Johannesburg, 24 in Polokwane, 27 in Musina, 29 for Umtata, with Port Elizabeth sitting at a maximum of 23 degrees, 24 for the city of Durban. Towards the southern parts, we're seeing much cooler conditions, but heading to the northern parts, to the interior of Northern Cape, Uppington is at a maximum of 26 degrees, and 17 for Alexander Bay. Mafikeng sitting at a maximum of 22 degrees. Well, that is all from the weather desk. Let's take a break.